Sekondi-Takoradi, a city comprising the twin cities of Sekondi and Takoradi. It is the capital of Sekondi-Takoradi Metropolitan Assembly and the western region of Ghana. Sekondi-Takoradi is the region's largest city and an industrial and commercial center with a population of about 445,205 people. The chief industries in Sekondi-Takoradi are timber, cocoa processing, plywood, shipbuilding, its harbor and railway repair, and the recent sweet crude oil and crude oil. The fundamental job in Sekondi-Takoradi is fishing. Sekondi-Takoradi lies on the main railway lines to Kumasi and Accra. In Sekondi-Takoradi, we engage with a number of 16 companies ranging from health, agriculture, transports, and manufacturing industries. The Twin City is very much noted to be rich in core materials like bauxite and gold.
Sekondi-Takoradi is noted to be one of the mining cities here in Ghana. The city boasts of oil and gas, bauxite, gold, as well as rubber plantation. One of the key challenges that we realized was the mindset of locals regarding the quality of some products. We visited a total of 16 institutions, and most of them were particularly startups, as well as health organizations, agri firms, transport firms.
A very dynamic landscape is what is evident in this city. Due to the many corporate entities and businesses, multimedia companies assist in content production for these entities. Just like in Central Region, unemployment was cited as a challenge for the youth. The mindset of the youth is also not geared towards entrepreneurship, though the few identified are doing so well.
In Takoradi, we came across a different mode of operation for the media there. We came across something that we would call multimedia organizations, and they played a key role in putting across messages or information about brands and services of entrepreneurs. So mainly what they were doing was they had photography, videography, virtually like production units, and were also operating like online and television stations for people that they were offering their services to. They were also into training of young people, and we came across that trend where most of their production was produced to fit smartphones, specifically social media. So they were not only involved in the traditional media form of advertisements. We got to know that most of the media houses were not really patronized by entrepreneurs in the entrepreneurial ecosystem there. One thing that was peculiar though for the women that we came across was that most of the women got into business after quitting their jobs, which was a very peculiar trend that we came across in Takoradi. And they later started to start their own businesses that they later relied on in terms of economic activities. We mapped 15 organizations in Takoradi, and key amongst them were the multimedia organizations. So some of the multimedia organizations even do production for say television stations, and they were outsourced some of these contracts. So they made us understand that virtually most people being on their phones, they found it as an opportunity to send out information to people through social media apart from traditional media. There's a similarity in terms of what was happening in Takoradi and Cape Coast, probably because the two regions are coastal regions. There was a lot of entrepreneurial activities in terms of tourism and culture. On the cultural front, one key thing that we got to know in the region was the fact that since culture was losing its significance and relevance, most of the things in the region were more modified because they had a lot of migrants coming into the region based on oil and gas and mining related activities. It was also stated that there's a high rate of unemployment in the region, which was something that the media were hitting on, that it would be very good to partner with us in terms of running projects to train media people.
Takoradi's landscape has seen the springing up of entrepreneurial meetups, which has supported the strengthening of the ecosystem. However, there's a need to strengthen the burdened thematic communities to create an enabling environment. This would sustain the business culture and enable startups to gain access to information for the greater socioeconomic good.
Organizations like iCode is doing their best to create avenues and recommendations for startups to get exposure, get access to knowledge, and also helping them to scale up their businesses. With the few support they get from external donors and funders that they share to help other businesses and startups to grow. So that is what they are doing. So in terms of learnings, in terms of formalization of businesses, in terms of getting exposure to meetups in other cities, much or more specific, Accra is what organizations like iCode is doing their best to create for them. So in Takoradi now, iCode is more like the pivot for youth development and the growth of startups. So I also recommend that they intensify their brand visibility, also intensify their exposure for the local entrepreneurs, and also intensify their regular meetups and business development workshops for entrepreneurs.
A very dynamic landscape is what is evident in this city. Due to the many corporate entities and businesses, multimedia companies assist in content production for these entities. Just like in Central Region, unemployment was cited as a challenge for the youth. The mindset of the youth is also not geared towards entrepreneurship, though the few identified are doing so well.
So with the Takoradi ecosystem, we all know Takoradi is the oil city of the country, and we are always happy when we hear Takoradi because they are bringing more money into the state for development of the country at large here. So the lead policy organization in Takoradi ecosystem is the Sekondi-Takoradi Metropolitan Assembly. So of all the 11 ecosystems we visited, that's regions we visited, 2 lead policy organizations, that's the local policy organizations, had investment profiles, of which the Sekondi-Takoradi Metropolitan Assembly was one of them. And it's very interesting to say that the assembly is doing very well in providing infrastructure for the ecosystem and also ensuring sanitation in the ecosystem as well. In terms of business registration, the Registrar General's Department has an office at the Sekondi, which is responsible for all business registration services both in the Western region and the Central region. And that's another interesting thing that stood out in the Sekondi-Takoradi ecosystem from the policy support side. Also, services within this ecosystem could be accessed within a minimum of 1 day, depending on the kind of service you are looking out for, and a maximum of 3 months.
Takoradi is one of the fastest growing regions. One challenge cited in the region is the challenge for unemployment among the youth. The finance mapped out various financial institutions as well as angel investors who are hugely engaged with startups in financially supporting them and other forms of support.
In the Western region, Takoradi was where we went to. We were able to speak to some of the financial institutions. We spoke to international banks, we spoke to local banks, we spoke to rural banks, as well as the microfinances. We identified that in as much as farming and other fishing activities are making the finances of the local area go up. Oil too has also set in and is also increasing the finances of the region. We notice that most of them are willing to support local businesses, the financial institutions, other non-governmental organizations. They're able to raise funds to be able to support local businesses. This is helping them get more businesses.
In Takoradi, we had interactions with a magnificent vocational training center that had a rapidly declining enrollment rate. We discussed practical ways of raising funds for the school and also helping the students venture into their own businesses.
Western region, the poor city of Sekondi-Takoradi. This place was full of activity, a lot of expatriates around who come along with higher standards for tourism and business. So we realized that a lot of institutions that had funding from Westerners were raising the bar, and we had people of lower levels copying from them or learning from them. We were able to engage with 2 tertiary institutions, 3 vocational institutions, and 4 second cycle institutions. We also realized that the vocational institutions had difficulty attracting people within the town. Most people saw vocational schooling as a sign of failure, as such as people from the villages that were coming, and they came with a very low level of human capital, and it was clear that they needed extra training to be able to even meet the minimum requirements of their vocational schools.